Look at this little guy. I've actually got a little Moonbird collectible on my desk. It's a cool piece of tech, but it can be a little slow and a little expensive.
On Twitter, it says it's backed by NVIDIA. How do you rate this ByteNova token?
Just look at the chart. Look at the chart. It's a thing of beauty.
They basically call themselves the HTTPS of the blockchain.
It tied intrinsically to one of these, to the phones. I think this is your future blue chip right here, and you don't need to own the phone.
Welcome to another episode of Don't Get Rekt. Today, we talk about something really interesting. We are going to rank some of the biggest token launches of 2026 so far, and we're going to tell you either they are good opportunities to look at or they are a must avoid. So as always, I've got with me my brilliant colleague, El. El, how are you doing?
I'm okay, and I'm excited to tear apart some of these projects.
Amazing. So before we go into it, let me just quickly give you an overview of the tier system we're gonna use to review. So we have the S tier, which is the future blue chip tokens, which can potentially become really big projects in the near and long term. Then there's the A tier, which are serious contenders worth looking at. Projects that you might want to keep a close eye on. B tier is kind of the narrative carry jobs, crypto narrative that are heating up now, might fade away soon, depends on how trendy the top topic or the theme remains. And then there's, C tier, which is like exit liquidity risk, pump and dump, things that you should obviously avoid. So without, doing much of the description on this, let's go into the tokens. So Al, first we have ByteNova AI. So this is a AI token, which the narrative was really big in 2025, but AI is still a very big theme right now in the market. And Al, on Twitter, it says it's backed by NVIDIA. How do you rate this ByteNova token?
Bro, there should be a Z tier for this one. I mean, the token's down 99.6% from launch. How can that happen to something backed by NVIDIA, right? Well, because it's not. It lies. These days, any project can say it was like part of an incubation program or an accelerator. But even the claims ByteNova were making about being part of that are pretty dicey. It was based on a cool idea, edge AI, which would mean data would be created locally instead of in the cloud, right? So in theory, that's good. Is it good enough to create a token that's going to go to millions or billions in market cap? Absolutely not. I mean, this thing is disgusting. It was a plain airdrop farming rug pull exercise. And the community is rightly pointing out that this was just a scam. Ironically, it was probably just scraping everyone's data, right? It was probably just harvesting people's data, and it will take that and do it again somewhere else. But ByteNova's Byte token had pretty decent exchange listings, quite a lot of press and hype around the launch. And we'll get the chart up because it just absolutely nuked, right? I haven't seen a chart like it. It's incredible. So it's the bottom of the bottom. And I write in our guide about it, the utility of the token, not that there really is any. Now it will just be incentives. They will just give it away. They can't even sell it. They're just going to have to give it away to everybody for free. So it is at the bottom of the pile. It's going to zero. ByteNova is done. Goodbye, RIP. Arrivederci, bon voyage.
Well, you've heard it first on CryptoManiaks. Don't get into ByteNova. Avoid this token for life. So let's move on to the next one. It's one of my personally interesting one that I found. It was Cardano's Midnight token. It was launched earlier this year. And it's a very new token, but it's been hyped up a lot by Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson. Basically, it's part of the broader privacy coin narrative. And this new network called Midnight, it actually implies, zero knowledge proof to make transactions secure and private. It after launch, it did reach a market cap of more than 1 billion. Right now, it's around 950 million. It reached 1 cent and then dropped back a bit. There's a lot of hype around it. Al, how do you rate Midnight?
Bro, I mean, come on, look, we know privacy is good. But frankly, like zero knowledge proofs, you can go and get them on pretty much any chain with smart contracts now. I don't know that this needed to exist. And my problem with the Cardano ecosystem and to be fair, all of the projects that Charles Hoskinson works on, you go on the website and we'll get an image up of it. It talks about tech for tech's sake. It uses, really fancy words and talks about democratizing privatization and things like that. What it never does, what ADA doesn't do and now Knight doesn't do, is it doesn't explain the beneficial outcome for retail, for people like you and me. So yeah, they did a nice airdrop called the Glacier Drop, and it was cool to play with new tech, but it has a couple of problems. One, it's in the Cardano ecosystem, right? Which I think's kind of dead. It's going to go the way of Polkadot or Cosmos, right? That's my own private opinion, but that's what I see happening. And I think if privacy as a narrative really picks up and it innovates beyond the old privacy coins, it could do well, especially if it enjoys big exchange listings after they've been delisting, Monero and Zcash and stuff like that. But without the narrative, it's going to die. And even with the narrative, it has to do a better job of articulating the value proposition. I just don't know why I would ape into that coin right now. I just wouldn't. There's no reason for me to do so. And I think that's a shame, because I know a lot of effort and energy would have gone into building it that frankly could have been done maybe reviving ADA, right? So that for me, Midnight's a narrative-driven coin.
All right, so Cardano's Midnight, as we reviewed it, B tier narrative carry jobs. If the privacy coin narrative hits up again, it might pick up. If it doesn't, it's really, not that much big of a deal for, Midnight. So let's go into the next one. And I know we've talked about it a lot. We've talked about it on previous episodes as well.
Yeah.
It is the Moonlight token. Moonbird, sorry.
Moonbird.
I kind of mix it up with Midnight. But it's actually called Moonbirds. It's an owl. Something that Al finds cute. I'm horrified about. I hate owls. Not the creature, but I just find it scary. But Moonbirds, guys, NFT hype, a lot of hype, and it launched late in January, shot up to over 130 million in market cap, dropped straight back down, and then shot up again, dropped down, shot up again, now it's down again. If you see the chart, it's like a devil's horn. So what's going on? Moonbirds, the owl, how do you rate it, Al?
Yeah, I mean, look at this little guy. I've actually got a little Moonbird collectible on my desk. I love it because what it's going to do is it's going to prove the value of intellectual property on the blockchain. We know Disney's aping in, other intellectual properties are coming on chain. What Moonbirds has the potential to do, if it can get this narrative around NFT IP expansion right, the way Pudgy did. Pudgy's always a good example. And the same people are involved this time. But the problem with the token is the token's now giving staking rewards coming out every month for NFT holders that nest their NFTs. So if you buy a Moonbirds and nest it, you essentially get the value of your purchase back over time in these tokens. But that's going to create selling pressure, isn't it? Every month when people get their tokens, they're just going to flip them. There's no reason to hold it. And that's really sad. And until Moonbirds announces some really cool integrations, for instance, using it as a currency in a game that isn't a Moonbirds game, right? It's somewhere else. Until there's some real utility, unfortunately, this is just a meme coin. It's just a narrative, hype-driven example. And the launch, man, the launch was painful. I was bullish about it. Trying to claim my tokens was so hard. It was very technically poor experience. Now, this could help merge that traditional business of selling selling merch and bringing it on chain, or it could just be a total disaster. And the jury's out, frankly, which is a little sad. But I'm not fully sold. And the reasons for those spikes in the chart action, I just don't know what they are. I don't know what's driving it. And I think, unfortunately, unless they do something soon, it's just gonna reach for the ground, bro. Sadly.
So Moonbirds, everyone's favorite owl, we rate it and a B tier. Is still another narrative carry job. So let's move on to the next one. We have another privacy coin. When the privacy narrative really hit up in 2025, a lot of new projects came into the market. We talked about Cardano's Midnight, and another one is called ZAMA. We've reviewed it previously on this channel. They basically call themselves the HTTPS of the blockchain. It's not a separate blockchain, but it works alongside existing ones like Ethereum to make the network and transactions more, privacy driven. So it's a really cool project in terms of it. The pre-sale was oversubscribed. There was a lot of hype behind it, and most importantly, they launched with 100% of the tokens unlocked. So dumping everything on the market. There's no unlocks happening. There's no vesting period or anything. So ZAMA, privacy coin. Al, how do you rate it?
Well, I mean, like you say, they flooded the market with coins and it's only down sort of 45, 50%, right? Which is interesting. You'd have thought that would have hurt it a lot more. It's a cool idea. And like any cool idea, it's only going to get traction if people go and use it. Now, the good thing about ZAMA is, unlike Night, we can explain why we would use it. You can wrap tokens to turn them into confidential tokens. So that if my wallet is publicly available and I want to send Mo some tokens and I don't want anyone to know, I can wrap them into confidential tokens with ZAMA and then fire them off and no one will know. That's awesome. That's really useful. That is a proper use case that will become more and more prevalent throughout this year, right? Because the public anonymous thing of blockchain is kind of going away because we ruined it. So ZAMA uses what's called fully homomorphic encryption. I believe I pronounced that correctly. It's a cool piece of tech, but it can be a little slow and a little expensive. So what ZAMA will have to do to gain traction, and I think it will, right? I'll be clear about that. I think it will get there. It's got to constantly improve and make it easier for people to use it. It's got to do the same explaining of the use case. And then importantly, it needs to attract and maintain its user base, right? And I think it will do that. And I think the price will recover back towards, it cleared the pre-sale about 5 cents after raising over 100 million, right? So it's got some work to do to get back to that point. But the hope here is the power of the use case and the innovation at work should propel it forward. So I think it's a strong contender. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So ZAMA, A tier, really good, strong contender token to definitely keep and watch on, especially for the privacy coin enthusiasts. ZAMA is one to watch. So one last token that we want to review, and it was one of the most hyped launches of this year so far, is the Solana Seeker coin, which launched as a part of its Solana Seeker smartphone ecosystem. And we've talked about Seeker a lot. There's a lot of cool things and concerns with this token. El, how do you rate it?
Bro, this is the big one. This is the future blue chip. Solana is now a 2-coin ecosystem. And just look at the chart. Look at the chart. It's a thing of beauty. What new launch has got a chart like that? And very cleverly, by airdropping people that own the phone, they guarantee an initial user base in the tens of thousands. Not every project can do that. But because it's tied intrinsically to one of these, to the phones, it's very likely that the owners of the phones are going to have high conviction and they're going to stake their tokens. The staking rewards are still over 20%. That is pretty high, right? And the fact, and this is what I think is really interesting. If we look at the market cap, it's about 114 million at the moment. That is a fraction of Solana's market cap, which is about 50 billion, right? So when Solana does some work internally to onboard Solana holders to Seeker, the market cap could go absolutely parabolic. This has got the highest potential of any crypto I've seen in a while. And the fact that you can get in low and stake right now, including for airdrop season 2, which will no doubt onboard a lot more users, it just feels like a no-brainer. If you're bullish on the Sol ecosystem, why would you not be considering this token or indeed purchasing one of the phones? And also, the fact is, the current market has highlighted the strength and resilience of Solana. Do you remember when Solana used to break a couple of years ago? And they'd be like, oh, Solana's gone down again. Well, that hasn't happened in a record-breaking amount of time now. It probably isn't going to happen again. The Fire Dancer upgrade means that institutional finance can come on board and do tens of millions of transactions. It works. Solana is hot stuff right now. It makes more revenue than Ethereum and Tron pretty much combined, right? The number 2 and 3 blockchains by revenue. It's fast, it's affordable, it's got massive upside potential. I think this is your future blue chip right here. And you don't need to own the phone. You just need some Sol, right? So for me, absolute no-brainer. Obviously, I'm a little biased because I've got one, but I'm staking my whole airdrop and I'm thinking about adding to my bag. 100%.
Amazing. So Solana Seeker, we rated S tier. We think it's a future blue chip. Remember, this is just our review. We're not just reviewing the tokens in terms of the price. Prices may come up and down. If you see Solana Seeker's market cap is actually on the lower end of all of this token, but still we see the project's value, we see the longevity and the promises and the utility of tokens. So that's what this review was about which project holds up and which project doesn't. So we hope you found really good info here. And these were just 5 of the most hyped tokens launched this year as of February. We're going to be reviewing more as they come. So as always, this is me, Mo, and Al. We'll see you on the next episode of Don't Get Wrecked.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.